I walked out of the lawyer's office at 3:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, and my hands were shaking so hard I could barely grip my phone. Before I tell you what I overheard 30 minutes later, what my daughter-in-law said when she thought I couldn't hear, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, because this story gets darker than I ever imagined, and you'll want to see how I made her pay for every lie. My name is Robert Chen. I'm 68 years old, a retired electrical engineer, and up until 3 months ago, I thought I knew my family. I thought I understood the people living under my roof. I was wrong about almost everything. Let me back up. 2 years ago, I lost my wife Margaret to cancer. Lung cancer, stage 4. Gone in 8 months. We'd been married 42 years. After she passed, I sold our house in Portland. Too many memories, too many empty rooms. My son Marcus invited me to move in with him and his wife Vanessa in Seattle. "Dad, you shouldn't be alone," he said. "We have the space. Stay with us while you figure things out." I took him up on it. Marcus is my only child, and after Margaret died, I didn't have much fight left in me. Their house was nice, a 4-bedroom in Ballard, and they gave me the guest room on the main floor. Vanessa seemed pleasant enough at first. She was always on her phone, always taking photos of her coffee or her outfit, calling herself a lifestyle influencer even though I never saw much evidence of actual income from it. But she was polite to me. Distant, but polite. I helped with rent where I could. My pension wasn't much, but I contributed. I tried to stay out of their way. I'd read in my room, take long walks, volunteer at the library twice a week. I didn't want to be a burden. Here's what I didn't know. My older brother Raymond and I hadn't spoken in 26 years. We'd had a falling out over our mother's estate, stupid stuff that seemed important at the time. He moved to Vancouver. I stayed in Oregon, and we let pride keep us apart for over 2 decades. I didn't even know he'd gotten sick, didn't know he'd built a real estate empire up in British Columbia, didn't know he'd never married, never had kids, and I definitely didn't know that 3 weeks before he died, he'd tried to call me, tried to reach out. I'd ignored the unknown Canadian number, sent it to voicemail, never called back. His lawyer found me anyway. That Tuesday, I got a certified letter asking me to come to a law office in downtown Seattle for a matter concerning the estate of Raymond Chen. I took the bus downtown, sat in that glass and steel waiting room, and tried not to hope for anything. Raymond and I hadn't been brothers for 26 years. Why would he leave me anything? The lawyer, a sharp woman named Jennifer Park, didn't waste time. "Mr. Chen, your brother's will is very specific. He left his entire estate to you, with one condition." I remember staring at her. "I don't understand." She slid a folder across the desk. 2 commercial properties in Vancouver, currently leased to tech companies. A penthouse apartment in Yaletown, and $12 million in investment accounts and liquid assets. The room tilted. I gripped the arms of the chair. $12 million? "The condition," she continued, "is that you must survive for 1 year after taking possession of the estate. It's a standard provision. In cases where there might be concerns about competency or undue influence, if within that year you're declared mentally incompetent, or if there's any legal challenge to your capacity, the estate goes to a list of charities he specified. After 1 year, it's yours, free and clear." "Why would he do this?" I asked. We hadn't spoken in decades. Jennifer's expression softened. "He left you a letter." She handed me an envelope. I didn't read it there. I couldn't. I thanked her, signed some initial paperwork, and walked out into the Seattle drizzle with that envelope burning a hole in my jacket pocket. $12 million. Properties. My brother Raymond, who I'd written off as dead to me, had left me everything. I sat on a bench outside the office building and finally opened the letter. Raymond's handwriting, shaky near the end. "Robert, I was a stubborn fool. So were you. But I'm dying, and I don't have time for pride anymore. I tried to call. You didn't answer. I don't blame you. This money, these properties, they don't mean anything without Famsley. I built all of this, and I'm leaving it alone. Please don't make my mistakes. Don't let pride steal your time. I'm sorry for all of it. Your brother, Raymond." I sat there in the rain and cried for the first time since Margaret's funeral. When I got back to Marcus and Vanessa's house around 4:30, I was still processing everything. $12 million. Commercial properties. A penthouse. My brother's final apology. 26 years too late. I wanted to tell Marcus right away. I wanted to share this with my son, to tell him about his uncle, about the reconciliation that came too late, about the future this would secure for all of us. I imagined helping Marcus and Vanessa buy their own place, maybe setting up college funds for the grandkids I still hoped they'd have someday. I walked into the house. It was quiet. I heard voices upstairs, coming from Marcus and Vanessa's bedroom. The door was half open. I was about to call out, to let them know I was home, when I heard Vanessa's voice, sharp and clear. "No, Jessica, I'm serious. He's the perfect mark." I froze at the bottom of the stairs. "The old man barely knows what day it is half the time," Vanessa continued. She was on speakerphone, I realized, talking to someone while probably doing her makeup or scrolling her phone. "Marcus is so worried about his precious daddy, he doesn't see it. But I've been documenting everything." A woman's voice, tinny through the speaker. "Documenting what?" "Signs of dementia. Confusion. I've been keeping a journal. Every time he forgets something. Every time he seems out of it. Marcus thinks I'm being helpful, keeping track for doctor visits. But it's evidence." "Evidence for what?" the friend asked. "Jessica, think about it. The man is almost 70. He lives with us. He has no other family. If something were to happen, if he needed to be declared incompetent, who do you think the court would listen to? His loving son and daughter-in-law who've been caring for him, documenting his decline? We could get conservatorship, control his pension, his accounts, everything." My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. "But he doesn't have any money," Jessica said. "You said he was broke," Vanessa laughed. It was a sound I'd never heard from her before, cold and sharp. "That's what we thought. But Marcus told me last week that Robert's brother died. Some rich recluse up in Canada. I did some digging. Jessica, the brother owned half of downtown Vancouver. If Robert inherits even a fraction of that, we're talking millions. Oh my God. So here's the plan," Vanessa said, and I could hear her moving around the room. "I keep documenting. I get more aggressive about it. Start suggesting to Marcus that his dad seems really off. Maybe we schedule some doctor appointments, plant some seeds. Then, when the inheritance comes through, if it comes through, we move fast. Get him declared incompetent before he can do anything stupid with the money. Once we have conservatorship, we control it all." "What about Marcus?" Jessica asked. "Won't he object?" "Marcus does whatever I tell him to," Vanessa said, and I could hear the contempt in her voice. "He's so desperate to avoid conflict, so worried about being a good son. I've already got him half convinced his dad is losing it. A few more months of this, and he'll be agreeing that we need to step in for Robert's own good." I stood there in the hallway, one hand on the wall to keep myself steady. This woman, who I'd lived with for 2 years, who smiled at me across the breakfast table, who called me Dad when Marcus was around, had been planning to steal everything. She'd been documenting imaginary dementia symptoms, manipulating my son, preparing to have me declared incompetent. And the worst part, the part that made my chest ache, was that she was right about one thing. The inheritance had come through. That very day, $12 million, and I'd almost walked upstairs to tell them about it. "I have to go," Vanessa said. "Marcus will be home soon. Remember, not a word to anyone." "My lips are sealed," Jessica said. "You're brilliant, Ness. Absolutely brilliant." I heard Vanessa end the call. I heard her footsteps moving around the bedroom. I very carefully, very quietly, backed away from the stairs and slipped out the front door. I sat in my car in the driveway, hands gripping the steering wheel, trying to process what I'd just heard. 20 minutes later, Marcus pulled up. He worked in middle management at a tech company. Decent job, but stressful. He always looked tired these days. He saw me sitting in my car and knocked on the window. "Dad? You okay? Why are you sitting out here?" I looked at my son. Really looked at him. The lines around his eyes, the slump in his shoulders. When had he started looking so defeated? Just needed some air, I said. Long day. Want to come inside? Vanessa's making dinner. I almost laughed. Instead, I followed him into the house, and I made a decision. I wasn't going to tell them about the inheritance. Not yet. I was going to watch. I was going to wait. And I was going to be very, very careful. That night at dinner, Vanessa was all smiles. Robert, how was your day? You were gone for a while. Just some errands, I said. Nothing important. She exchanged a glance with Marcus. You sure? You seem a little confused. Do you remember where you went? And there it was. The setup. The documentation she'd mentioned. She probably had her journal ready to write down that I seemed disoriented. Couldn't remember my day. I remember perfectly, I said, meeting her eyes. I went to the library, then took a walk along the waterfront. It was a nice day. Something flickered in her expression. Annoyance, maybe. Oh, good. I just worry sometimes. You know, you're not getting any younger. Marcus put his hand on mine. Dad, if you ever feel off, you'd tell us, right? We're here to help. My son. My boy. He had no idea what his wife was planning. He thought she cared. He thought this was love. I'll let you know, I said. That night, alone in my room, I called Jennifer Park. The 1-year competency clause, I said. Tell me exactly how that works. If someone challenges your mental capacity within the first year, and a court agrees, the estate goes to the charities. It's designed to protect against exactly what you're worried about. And if I need evidence? If someone is planning to have me declared incompetent? There was a pause. Mr. Chen, is everything all right? I need to know my options. She gave me the name of a firm that specialized in elder law. Document everything, she said. If you suspect someone is planning to exploit you, you need evidence. Recordings, journals, witnesses. Build your case before they build theirs. I spent that week in a fog of careful observation. I watched Vanessa watch me. I saw her make notes on her phone whenever I hesitated over a word or forgot where I'd put my reading glasses. Normal things, things that happen to everyone. But in her journal, I knew they were becoming symptoms. Evidence of decline. Marcus started asking me questions. Dad, do you remember what you had for breakfast? Vanessa said you seemed confused this morning. I had oatmeal, I said. Same as every morning. Right. I'm just checking. He looked miserable. Guilty. Vanessa was working on him, slowly turning him into her instrument. I went to see the elder law attorney Jennifer recommended. Her name was Patricia Gomez, and she didn't sugarcoat anything. Mr. Chen, what you're describing is a form of predatory behavior that's increasingly common. Family members or caregivers deliberately creating a narrative of incompetence to justify taking control of assets. The journal your daughter-in-law is keeping could be very effective in court if she presents it alongside testimony from your son. What do I do? First, get your own medical evaluation. Full cognitive testing from a neurologist, independently, establishing that you're of sound mind. Second, document the manipulation. If she's having conversations like the one you overheard, we need evidence. Third, consider moving out. The longer you stay in that environment, the more ammunition she has. I'm not leaving my son, I said. Patricia nodded. Then we do this the hard way. We gather evidence. We build an unassailable case. And when the time comes, we prove that you're the victim of attempted exploitation. I hired a private investigator. His name was David Kim, a former Seattle PD detective who specialized in financial crimes and elder abuse cases. I told him everything. The Zoom call, he said. Do they use a home computer for video calls? Vanessa does. In the bedroom. Does she know you're tech-savvy? I almost smiled. She thinks I can barely use a smartphone. Perfect. Can you access the computer when she's out? I thought about it. Vanessa went to yoga every Tuesday and Thursday morning. The computer was in the bedroom. Marcus would be at work. I can try. David set me up with a simple program on a flash drive. Plug this in, run the install, and it'll create a backup of all activity on that computer. Emails, messages, calls. If she's planning what you think she's planning, there'll be a trail. The next Tuesday, I waited until Vanessa left for yoga. My hands were shaking as I climbed the stairs to their bedroom. I'd never invaded my son's privacy before, never gone through his things. But this wasn't about Marcus. This was about survival. The computer was unlocked. I plugged in the flash drive, ran the program like David showed me. It took 4 minutes, the longest 4 minutes of my life. Then I cleared the history, closed everything, and went back downstairs. That afternoon, David called me. "Robert, you need to see this." I met him at a coffee shop near the library. He showed me his laptop, emails between Vanessa and Jessica, dozens of them, going back months, conversations about how to handle the Robert situation, research into conservatorship laws, draft timelines for making the move once the inheritance cleared. But there was more. "Your son had kids," David said quietly, "from a previous marriage." I stared at him. "What?" "Twin girls. They're 15 now. Marcus got divorced 7 years ago, before he met Vanessa. The mother has primary custody, lives in Spokane. According to these emails, Vanessa gave Marcus an ultimatum when they got married. No contact with the ex-wife, no contact with the kids. She didn't want the complication. My grandchildren. I had grandchildren, and I'd never known. Marcus has been sending child support, David continued. But Vanessa has been intercepting any attempts by the girls to contact him. Birthday cards, letters. There's an email here where she brags to Jessica about throwing them away before Marcus sees them. I felt something crack inside me. My son doesn't know? Based on the emails, Vanessa told him the girls didn't want contact. Told him his ex had poisoned them against him. Marcus believed her. I sat there in that coffee shop, looking at evidence of a manipulation so deep and so cruel that I could barely comprehend it. Vanessa hadn't just been planning to steal my inheritance. She'd isolated my son from his own children. She'd built a wall of lies around him, and he'd been living in it for years. "I need to talk to him," I said. "Not yet," David warned. "If you confront him now, she'll know we're onto her. She'll destroy evidence, change tactics. We need to time this perfectly." "Time what?" "The exposure. When we move all at once. Show Marcus everything. Show the courts everything. But we need more. We need her actually attempting to execute the plan." So I waited. I played the role she'd assigned me. I let myself seem a little more confused, a little more forgetful. I asked Marcus the same question twice, in one day. I put my keys in the refrigerator once, made sure Vanessa saw me searching for them. She documented all of it. I could see her excitement growing. The inheritance was coming, just a matter of paperwork now, and her plan was working perfectly. 3 weeks after the Zoom call, Vanessa suggested a family meeting. "Marcus and I have been talking," she said over dinner. "Robert, we're worried about you. We think it might be time to look into some care options." "Care options?" I asked, making my voice uncertain. "Maybe an assisted living facility," Marcus said. He wouldn't meet my eyes. "Somewhere with medical staff. Activities. You'd have your own apartment, but there'd be people around, in case you need help." "I don't need help," I said. Vanessa put her hand on Marcus's arm. A signal. They'd rehearsed this. "Dad, we love you, but you've been forgetting things, getting confused. We've been keeping track, and it's getting worse. We just want you to be safe. We can visit the place this weekend," Marcus added. "Golden Pines. It's really nice. Just to look. Golden Pines." I'd researched it after overhearing Vanessa's call. A decent facility, but expensive. The kind of place that would drain a pension fast. The kind of place where, if I couldn't pay, my son and daughter-in-law would need to take control of my finances to ensure I received care. The trap was closing. "Okay," I said softly. "If you think it's best." Vanessa smiled. It didn't reach her eyes. That night, I called Patricia. "They're making their move." "Good," she said. "Let them. We're ready." The visit to Golden Pines was scheduled for Saturday. On Friday, I did 3 things. First, I had Patricia file paperwork with the court establishing my competency, the neurological evaluation, cognitive testing, character references from the library where I volunteered, from my doctor of 20 years, a comprehensive record proving I was of sound mind. Second, I contacted Marcus's ex-wife through David. Her name was Lisa. I told her everything, told her about the letters Vanessa had intercepted, about Marcus believing his daughters didn't want contact. I asked if she and the girls would be willing to meet with Marcus when the time came. She cried on the phone. "He's their father," she said. "They miss him so much. They think he abandoned them." "He didn't," I said. "He's been lied to, just like me." Third, I set up a meeting with Marcus. Just the 2 of us. I told him I wanted to talk before we visited Golden Pines, that I had some things to say. Saturday morning, Vanessa had a yoga emergency. Perfect timing, really. She left Marcus and me alone in the house. I sat my son down at the kitchen table. "Marcus, I need you to listen to me. Really listen. Don't interrupt. Don't defend. Just hear what I have to say." He looked worried. "Dad, what's wrong?" "Everything," I said. I told him about the lawyer's office, about Raymond's estate, about the $12 million I'd inherited 3 months ago. His face went white. $12 million? And you didn't tell us? "Because of this," I said, and I played him the recording of Vanessa's Zoom call. David had extracted it from the backup. Marcus listened to his wife's voice explaining her plan to have me declared incompetent, to take control of the money, to manipulate him into going along with it. He listened to her laugh about it, listened to her call him weak. When it finished, he just sat there. His hands were shaking. "There's more," I said gently. I showed him the emails, the research into conservatorship, the timeline for making the move, and then I showed him the other emails, the ones about his daughters. "You have grandchildren," I told him. "Twin girls, 15 years old. They live in Spokane. They've been trying to reach you for years." He read the emails. Read Vanessa bragging about throwing away birthday cards. Read her telling Jessica how she'd convinced Marcus his daughters hated him, how easy it was to isolate him from his past. My son put his head in his hands and sobbed. I let him cry. When he could speak again, he said, 3 months. I've been gathering evidence. Why didn't you tell me? Because I needed you to see it for yourself. If I'd just told you, you might not have believed me. You love her. You wanted to believe in her. I needed you to see who she really is. Marcus looked at me with eyes full of pain. What do I do? You get your children back, I said. You divorce a woman who's been using you, and you help me make sure she never does this to anyone else. Lisa and the girls, Emma and Sophia, drove down from Spokane that afternoon. The reunion happened in Patricia's office, neutral ground. Marcus saw his daughters for the first time in 7 years. They'd been 8 when Vanessa had cut them off. I stood in the corner and watched my son hold his children while they cried. Watched 15-year-old girls who'd thought their father didn't love them learn that he'd been lied to. Watched a family begin to knit itself back together. That evening, when Vanessa came home, Marcus was waiting for her. I'd moved my things to a hotel. Patricia had advised me to be elsewhere for this part. Marcus told me later what happened. He'd simply said, I know everything. I've filed for divorce. You need to leave. Vanessa had tried to lie at first, then to cry, then to threaten. She'd screamed that I'd poisoned him against her, that I was manipulating him. No, Marcus had said. You did that to yourself. I have the recordings, the emails, all of it. My lawyer says if you leave quietly, we won't press charges for fraud and elder abuse. If you fight this, we will bury you. She left that night, took her clothes, her laptop, her perfect Instagram life, and vanished. The divorce was finalized in 6 months. Marcus got the house. Vanessa got nothing, because she'd brought nothing to the marriage except lies. I used part of Raymond's inheritance to pay off Marcus's mortgage, set up trust funds for Emma and Sophia. The girls started spending weekends in Seattle, getting to know their father again, getting to know me. Slowly, carefully, We became a family. Marcus quit his job at the tech company. The stress, he said, had been killing him. He'd only stayed because Vanessa had wanted the stability, the status. Now, with the trust fund secured, he had time to figure out what he actually wanted to do. 6 months after everything came out, I sold Raymond's penthouse in Vancouver. Kept the commercial properties for steady income, but the penthouse was too much, too far away. With that money, I bought a small house in Spokane, near Lisa and the girls. Marcus moved up there too. Fresh start, closer to his daughters. We had Thanksgiving there last year. All of us together, Marcus and me and Lisa and the twins. It wasn't traditional, and it wasn't perfect, but it was real. It was honest. Emma asked me about Raymond, about the uncle they'd never met, whose generosity had changed everything. He made mistakes, I told her. He let pride keep him away from family for 26 years. But at the end, he tried to fix it. He gave me the tools to protect all of you, even though he never got to meet you. Do you wish you'd answered his call? Sophia asked. I thought about that every day, but I can't change the past. All I can do is make sure I don't make his mistake. Make sure I don't let pride or stubbornness steal time away from the people I love. Marcus looked at me across the table. I almost lost everything, he said quietly. My daughters, my father, my whole life, because I trusted the wrong person. You trusted because you have a good heart, I said. That's not a weakness. Vanessa's manipulation, that's not your fault. How did you know? He asked. How did you know to wait, to gather evidence, instead of just confronting her? I smiled. Because I'm an engineer. We solve problems methodically. We gather data before we act. And because your mother taught me patience. She always said, Robert, don't react. Respond. Reacting is emotional. Responding is thoughtful. I miss her, Marcus said. Me too. Lisa raised her glass. To Margaret, to Raymond, to second chances. We all drank to that. It's been a year now since Vanessa left. Marcus is rebuilding his relationship with his daughters one day at a time. They're talking about him moving to Spokane permanently, buying a place near their school. He's looking at teaching positions, maybe getting his master's in education. Something he always wanted to do but never had the courage to try. I volunteer at the Spokane Public Library 3 days a week, same work I did in Seattle. But now Emma and Sophia sometimes meet me there after school. We do homework together. They tell me about their lives, their friends, their dreams. Last week, Emma showed me a letter she'd written for her English class. It was about family, about forgiveness, about how the people who hurt us are sometimes the people who lead us to the people who save us. If Vanessa hadn't done what she did, she wrote, Dad never would have woken up. Grandpa Robert never would have known we existed. Sometimes the worst things lead to the best changes. I read that letter and thought about Raymond, about his apology coming 26 years too late but still coming, about how his guilt and regret over our estrangement had led him to leave me everything, which gave me the tools to save my son and find my granddaughters. Pain and healing, all tangled together. If you're listening to this and you're in a situation like mine, if someone is trying to take advantage of you, trying to manipulate your family, trying to steal what you've earned, here's what I learned. Document everything. Trust your instincts. Don't react in anger. Build your case carefully, methodically, and when you move decisively. But more than that, don't let pride keep you from the people you love. Don't let years slip away because you're too stubborn to make the call, to say you're sorry, to reach out. Raymond tried at the end, and I didn't answer. I'll regret that forever. I'm Robert Chen. I'm 69 years old. I have a son who's rebuilding his life, 2 granddaughters who call me every Sunday, and $12 million I almost lost to a woman who saw me as nothing but a mark. But I'm also Raymond's brother, and I won't waste the second chance he gave me. If this story meant something to you, if it resonated, leave a comment below. Tell me about your own experience with family, with betrayal, with finding your way back to what matters. And subscribe, because there are more stories like this, more lessons learned the hard way, More proof that it's never too late to fight for the people you love. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And remember, protect your peace, but never stop protecting your family.